welcome to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Molly Kate. I'm a 24-year-old fashion designer, photographer, and most recently, book lover. I never thought I'd be saying that. If you know me or have been watching my recent videos, you might be like, wait, did I click on the wrong video? Is this the wrong Molly Kate? I have never been a reader. I've never been a book lover until January 2023. Times are changing. I am in my book era and I love it. I've discovered booktube, book talk, the bookstore, and I'm in love. My love of reading started the very first week of January. Very convenient, I know, because I went home to visit my mom in Ohio and she gave me a stack of books and I was like, Mom, why are you giving these to me? I don't read. And she was like, I know, but I really want you to. And she told me that since I love like murder shows and like Criminal Minds and just like that kind of vibe, that I would like thriller books. And lo and behold, I got back to Texas and I was actually really sick and had some time off work. So what did I do? I read the books. And now I freaking love books. So these are all the books I read in January. I know. Like, what? My husband is like, what is going on with you? And this might be a book channel now, y'all. Please comment down below who your favorite booktubers are, because this is a whole new world for me. This is a whole new world. 5 books that I read. I'm going to take you through them and then also tell you my February TBR. I know, I even know the lingo, to be read. I even went to the bookstore and got some new books and I'm just like in it now, y'all. I'm just in it. So the very first book that I read in January is The Housemaid. And this was a 5-star read. This is by far the best book out of everything that I've read so far. I loved this book. I went on Book Talk and I saw a bunch of people saying that this is like the best book that they read all of last year. And I texted my mom and I was like, oh no, I think I read like the best book at the very beginning. How am I supposed to ever read a book again after this? You know, I was so naive. But this was so good because it's full of twists and like multiple, like more than one, and so it kept you like on your toes and I didn't see the ending coming at all. Also, it's very easy to read. Like, I just flew through it. So it's by Frida McFadden and she has so many more books, and one of them, the sequel to this, is coming out in February. And so I like need to get the sequel to this ASAP because this book was so good. So it's about a girl who basically becomes a housemaid for this rich family, and then a whole bunch of really just interesting, creepy stuff starts happening, and the ending is really not what you expect. So that's my first ever book synopsis, and that was really bad. But I don't want to give you any like spoilers, you know, like I can't spoil the ending for you. So 5 out of 5. Loved it. The next book that I read is another thriller mystery, and that is The Silent Patient. I know, I read like 2 of the best books like right off the bat. I also gave this 5 stars, and that's because towards the end of the book, when I started to realize the twist that was happening, I literally felt exhilarated, like I was on a roller coaster. I was like, and like I just like kept reading faster and faster and faster, and I was like physically felt myself like in shock. And I have just never like experienced that from like reading a book before. Like that's usually a feeling you feel when you're like watching a show or like a movie or something. So I was like, oh my gosh. Some people said that they saw the ending coming, but I didn't at all. I was like completely taken back by it. So I think that this was a 5-star read. I don't think I liked it as much as this, but they're both still 5 stars individually, you know? And these 2 authors are like my 2 favorite authors now, which you're probably laughing at me because they're the only 2 books I've ever read. But I just want to read more books from both of these authors. I loved both of these writing styles so much, and I totally understand what my mom meant by I would like thrillers, because like the murdery twists and the evil, mysterious mystery, who did it type thing, it was just my vibe. And she told me, she was like, see, I told you you would like reading, you were just reading the wrong things. Like all these books behind me are all the books I've ever owned, and majority of them are like Christian devotional books or nonfiction business books. And you know what? I was just reading the wrong thing. I needed some fiction, thriller, mystery in my life. So that is probably why the third and last book that my mom gave me in the pile, I actually hated. So the third book that she gave me was When She Returned by Lucinda Berry. And I did not like this book, you guys. I read the whole thing. I didn't DNF it, but I just, compared to the last two books that I read, not gonna cut it. I think that there were just too many things that the reader had to question. Like there's sometimes that I'm reading something and I'm like, okay, like I can let that slide if like a detail doesn't match up perfectly maybe, but no, this book was filled with too many things that I could not let go. Like if I were any of the characters in this book, I would be asking so many questions. Like I would not have let what happened in this book happen. And it made me so mad at every single person in this book. It's just not up to the level of the two other books. And it has a 4.3 star rating on Amazon, but I think I'm gonna give it a 2. I want to say 1, but I did finish it and I didn't see the ending coming. So I'm gonna be nice. I'm gonna give it a 2, but just not my fave. So after I finished those 3 books for my mom, I was like, okay, I need to hurry and get another book ASAP because I'm addicted. And I ended up getting The Maidens by the same author as The Silent Patient. I got this at Half Price Books and it was so good. I don't think that I don't know. I don't think that the plot twists were as good as The Silent Patient, but I loved the dark academia vibe of this book. It has like Greek mythology and it takes place at a college in London. And so you just feel really smart reading it. And it's just a total different vibe than The Silent Patient. I don't think the twist was as good, but it still shocked me. Like I still didn't see it coming. I'm going to give it a 4.5 stars because the twist wasn't as amazing as I know his last book was, but I am excited because I just want to see more from him. So even though it's a 4.5 star, I am just so excited for his next novel because I'm like, okay, this author is so good. I need to know what he writes next. So him and Frida McFadden are like top of my list favorite authors for thriller right now. And I'm like, I need to know what's next. I think the main difference between The Maidens and The Silent Patient was that The Silent Patient doesn't have nearly as many characters as The Maiden, yet it still was able to pull off such an amazing, crazy twist ending. While here you have like a ton of characters that it could probably be, and so you're not as like shocked, I guess. Just the plot twist just wasn't as good, but it's still a 4.5 star because it was such a good read. Like you wanted just to keep turning the page and I just didn't want to put it down. So I'm very happy that I picked this up. My mom hasn't read this one, so she wants me to send it to her so she can read it. And I'm like, yes, you have to. Also, I forgot to say that I'm putting all these books linked below in my Amazon storefront, so you can like easily click on them there and read them. And I just love reading. I never thought that I'd be this person. Okay, book number 5 is The Westing Game. And The Westing Game is a children's book. My mom actually read it in 6th grade, and it's the book that got her in love with reading from such a young age. And I actually read it when I was in 6th grade because my mom emailed my teacher and told my teacher that we had to read it because that's how much my mom loved the book. And I understand now why my mom loves books so much. This is a children's chapter book mystery novel, and it's all about a millionaire who passes away, and then he makes this big mystery game where these strangers have to come together and figure out the mystery. It's literally called the Westing Game because they play the Westing Game, and whoever solves it gets all of his inheritance. And this book came out 1978, so it's definitely like an older book, but you don't feel like it is when you're reading it. Like there's nothing in there that makes it feel like it's that much older, but it's so good. And even though I read it when I was in 6th grade, I did not remember the ending at all. Like, I didn't remember who won the game. I found it at Half Price Books and I was like, all right, let's go back to the book that started it all. This is a 5-star read. It's also only 213 pages, so it's not long at all, and this literally took me a day, and I highly, highly recommend that y'all read this if you haven't. It's linked below. So good. Okay, y'all, these are my February TBR reads. It's a lot, but here we go. I'm excited, and I feel like if I'm just excited about something, I should just do it. So the first book I'm going to read is One by One by Ruth Ware. I'm actually halfway through this already because it is February, so I am already reading this. I'm filming this a couple days into February, and this book is so good. It's basically about a small business team who goes on a retreat in the French Alps, and they end up getting snowed in. So there's an avalanche, a blizzard, and mysteriously, as you can tell by the title, they start to go missing one by one. And this is another like thriller mystery book, so I think it's very in line with the other books that I liked from January. And the reason I started reading this one already was because this past week in Texas, we had a bunch of snow and my office was closed all week. They were like, don't drive on the roads, don't go outside, like it's dangerous. And I was like, wow, I have a book for that. So it's just been a nice cozy week staying in reading. I'm only halfway through this book, but it is so good already. So that's first on my TBR list, and I got this at Half Price Books in my little haul. And there's another book second on my list that is actually a very similar plot line. So when I found this at Half Price Books, I also found this one. This is An Unwanted Guest by Sherry Lapina. And when I was reading the inside cover, I thought it sounded very similar to One by One. So it says a weekend retreat at a cozy mountain lodge is supposed to be the perfect getaway, but when the storm hits, no one is getting away. And so I was standing in Half Price Books like, oh my gosh, I need these two books. I need to read them both and see how they compare. And is the murderer gonna be the same in both books? Is the same plotline gonna happen, or is there gonna be a twist? Is there gonna be a twist in one and not the other? I don't know, but I've heard of both these authors and they're supposed to be really good, so freaking pumped about these. Okay, next is, I know, not a thriller. It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover, and you might be like, Molly Kate, why are you switching out of thriller? And it's honestly because why not? I'm a reader now, and I want to see if I like books that aren't just about murder and thriller, mystery, whatever. Also, it's February, and this book is pink and romance and Valentine's Day, and I just want to read it. Okay, so comment down below if you think I'll like it, or if you have any other book recommendations for me based off of what you have heard so far that I have liked and not liked, because your girl needs help. This is like book 101 here. I am just new to this whole world. So these are the first 3 books on my February TBR. And then next is The Family Across the Street by Nicole Trope. And I've seen this in a lot of booktube videos, because I watch those now. And this looks really good. So this is another mystery thriller book. Very excited to read it. It also looks shorter than some of these other books. So I'm like, yep, just add it to the pile. Just throw it in there. This was on the Half Price Books little cart that they were about to like put back on the shelves. So it had just been checked in and no one else saw it yet. And it was only $4. So I'm like, you know what? I'll take it. Next up is a book that I've owned for years. Atomic Habits. So Atomic Habits and I have a not so good relationship, and that's because the whole premise of the book is to become better at having habits, and I just can't get myself to read the book because I've never had good habits about reading. So it's a love-hate relationship, but I thought I would come back to it because now that I'm a reader, I might like it. So I actually started this back in December, and I read the first couple chapters. and I really, really, really liked it. It really put a lot of things into perspective for me, but then I put it back down on my little bookshelf because I just wasn't in my reader era back then, but I am now. So maybe February will be the month that I come back to it. I don't know, adding it to the pile. And then we have 2 more left. I know, I'm being very ambitious this month. The last 2 books are both by Sherry Lapina, and it is The Couple Next Door and Not a Happy Family. And I have seen so many people post about these books and give them really good reviews. So your girl loves mystery, she loves thriller, and these are supposed to be really good. So I think I'm going to finish reading the Ruth Ware one by one and then go into the Sherry Lapina Unwanted Guest book since it's a similar plot line. And then while I'm already going to Sherry Lapina, go to these 2 Sherry Lapina books. I think that's my plan. I know that there's 7 books here, and in January I only read 5, but that was me tiptoeing into reading, and now that I'm addicted, I think that I will naturally want to read more, so I don't think that 7 is that much more than 5, but we'll see, because it's technically 8 because I want to get the Housemaid book 2 as soon as it comes out. Like, I need that immediately. So 8 books for February. I'm more excited about some than I am others. Definitely more excited about the thrillers. Kind of nervous about the Colleen Hoover book and Atomic Habits, but you know what? Your girl's gonna try. So I hope you guys liked this video. This is not my usual content, like, at all. I usually am making fashion design, dressmaking content since I am a fashion designer, and right now I'm doing a series where I'm making dresses inspired by Taylor Swift songs, which is so much fun. So yeah, this is very different than that, but basically, and now that I love reading so much, if I'm not at my 9-to-5 job, I will either be sewing or reading, but regardless, I will continue to make content about both. So if you like either of those things, please hit the subscribe button. Follow me along on this journey of creativity and reading, writing, photography, fashion design, art, storytelling. That's like all me in a nutshell. I'm also close to hitting 1,000 subs, and that's a huge goal of mine. So it really just means a lot to me if you follow me along on this little corner of the internet. So thank you all for watching this video. I can't believe I'm making a book video. This is like not anything I ever thought I would do, but here I am, and I can't wait to go finish this book. I'm gonna go read it right now. So thanks y'all, until next time, bye.